conga line. It is party time. Time to wine. Bump and wine. Any conga line.
The time is now 7 p.m. Time for the CBC Evening News. This time check is brought to you by Fruta.
The key tourism industry continues its impressive performance. Barbadians warned about a silent killer. And in sports, Warriors get back on track after a 2-game losing streak.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord with the CBC Evening News and our top story. The tourism sector's strong performance in 2015 has carried over into the first quarter of this year. That's the word tonight from Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Sue Springer. She was speaking at the association's first quarterly meeting for the year at the Hilton Hotel. Peter Thorne has that story.
The BHTA CEO said the start of this year shows that Barbados is building on a near 15% growth in arrivals last year.
2015 closed with an increase of 14% on long-stay arrivals over 2014. The long-stay arrivals for the month of January continue to show that sort of growth too, with an increase of approximately, provisionally, 11% over 2015, with significant growth in our major markets. 20% roughly in the US, 16.5% in the UK, 16% in Trinidad and Tobago, and 70% in Central and South America. Of course, that is very much direct to the new flight coming in from Colombia with Avianca.
Ms. Springer says Canada was flat, whilst there was a decline in the Brazilian market. But she says last month was good for the key tourism sector, and the pattern appears set to follow suit in March.
February has been strong. Restaurants and car rentals have also been strong during this quarter. Many tourists, though, are not really taking advantage of the experiences on the island, and we often see a lot more people, especially on the south coast, taking a bus rather than maybe taking a car or a cab. The overall change in the economy is also something that is of concern as we look across the globe. The Chinese economy is slowing, the rate of exchange for the Canadian dollar and also the pound sterling, which certainly upsets me. But the pound sterling is very low at the moment.
Ms. Springer says the cruise sector is very vibrant with no shortage of ships visiting Barbados. She says that on most Fridays, taxis and tour buses are moving between 12 and 13,000 people on a 24-hour basis. Peter Thorne, CBC News.
Well, health professionals are being told to check their hypertension patients for diabetes and high cholesterol. In fact, the three have been described as the deadly threesome by Deputy Dean Preclinical in the University of the West Indies Faculty of Medical Sciences, Dr. Kenneth Connell. He was delivering the first of a series of lectures put on by that faculty in recognition of Barbados's Golden Jubilee. Dr. Connell's topic was hypertension at 50 years, blood, salt, and tears.
Hypertension stands alone because of its impact on health, and it has, of all the NCDs, of all the cardiovascular disease risk factors, the most significant impact on health. Hence it's called the silent killer.
He says that hypertension is especially lethal among black people.
Organ damage occurs at an exponential rate. There's a 320% increase in end-stage renal disease or chronic kidney disease, an 80% higher stroke mortality rate, and a 50% higher heart disease rate. So this is really our disease that's affecting us.
It appears the environmental problem which caused the closure of Combermere School last year may have raised its head yet again. This after students and staff this morning complained of a pungent odor emanating from the Waterford institution, which caused it to be closed. The root of this problem is now being investigated by health and education officials. Reports are that Combermere Principal Vera Paris and representatives from the Ministries of Health and Education closely examined the immediate and surrounding environs to ascertain the reason behind a repeat of the odor on the school compound. Now, when the school was closed last year, classes were held at Urderson Teachers Training College and at the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic, and before the all-clear was given for them to resume at Waterford. Well, classes will resume for students of the Infants Department of the Lawrence T. Gay Memorial School tomorrow. The classes for these students will recommence at the Grace Hill Moravian Church in Spooners Hill, St. Michael. Parents of students in the Infants Department, which is made up of reception, Infants A and Infants B, are also invited to attend a meeting at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon at the Grace Hill Moravian Church. The Lawrence T. Gay Memorial School remains closed due to environmental concerns, which the Education Ministry is trying to resolve. Students in the junior section of that school have already been relocated to 2 churches. A St. John man got the scare of his life just after 3 this afternoon when the truck he was driving fell more than 25 feet over a precipice in Clifton Hill Hall in St. John. Police report that the driver, 37-year-old Dave Cook of Newcastle in St. John, was trapped in this mangled twin-cab truck seen here before he was rescued by members of the Barbados Fire Service. Now, Cook reportedly suffered slight abrasions and also complained of pains in his right foot. He was taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by ambulance for treatment. While the Barbados Light and Power Company is worried about the impact of vehicular accidents on electricity supply, stressing that the damage to infrastructure is costly, the company is also warning commercial customers to pay particular attention to vehicle heights and overhead utility wires. All this after a commercial boom truck pulled transmission wires down and broke a utility pole at Gibbs St. Peter last Thursday. The company says as a result, electricity supplied to customers in Mullings, Gibbs, Carlton, Porters, Westmoreland and surrounding areas was affected. Power was restored a few hours later. The BLNP is apologizing for the outage while insisting that it will continue to work with commercial customers who operate large vehicles in order to ensure that they are aware of overhead utility wires and clearances required to navigate them safely. Well, stay with us. We'll have more news in just a moment.
Everybody smile, 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 smile. Show your teeth, why don't you? Look, Pine Hill, look.
Say hello to Shanta. Shanta is an entertainer, but she also loves to be entertained, which is why she has Flow TV brought to her through Flow's 100% fiber to the home network. It's great for busy Shanta because she can control the time she watches her favorite shows, play back from the start in case she missed it, or even record with cloud video recording. And with her Flow Services bundle, enjoys much more for much less. Visit any Flow retail outlet, call 1-800-804-2994, or visit discoverflow.co to find out more. One-of-a-kind connection. This is how we flow.
This is where I learn. Courage is what I got from experience. With hard work, there are no walls between me and my dreams.
Only Milo contains ActiveGo, which is a blend of Protomalt, a unique malt extract, and micronutrients to help prepare your child to get the best out of their day.
Thanks, Mom. Now I am ready.
Milo, energy food drink of champions.
Distributed by Massey Distribution.
A lot of people think that fast bikes are cool, and the girls show like the guys who ride them. But, like so many things about life, you gotta be careful. Having sex without a condom is like riding a bike without a helmet. It's just plain dumb. It's okay to have fun, as long as you're smart about it. My name is Daniel DeLion Fortress, and I'm different, and I'm making a difference.
Live up. Love, protect, respect.
The commemorative Broken Trident is continuing its trek across the island and is now in the parish of St. Peter. Yesterday morning, the Trident was presented to the Roland Edwards Primary School. BLP candidate for St. Peter, Colin Jordan, in his remarks said, as Barbados prepares to mark its 50th anniversary of independence, we must be our brothers and sisters' keeper.
This broken trident must now become a scepter in our 50th year as we mature. And we will use it, and we need to use it as we reach out to other nations. In doing so, we leverage each other's strengths, we leverage each other's resources, we build on each other's best practices so that we can continue to build our nation as an independent nation, but as a nation that contributes to the well-being of a global community.
And principal of the Roland Edwards Primary School, Michael Watson, told the students that Barbados has made tremendous strides over the past 50 years.
We can see clearly these improvements in the quality of our housing stock, our roads, school buildings, modes of transportation, healthcare, you name it. These improvements are there for all and sundry to see.
One of the fathers of Caribbean theatre and storytelling has been honored for his contribution to the performing arts. He is veteran Caribbean theatre performer Ken Corsby, who was presented with a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Earl Warner Trust at the Errol Barrow Center for Creative Imagination. The award was presented by Mr. Warner's widow, Karen Ford Warner. Mr. Corsby says growing up in Jamaica in the Tate household greatly influenced his life and his drift towards storytelling, folk and literary arts. Describing himself as a full Caribbean man, he noted that the Inter-American Foundation, which funded the Theatre Information Exchange in the 1970s, was also instrumental in his development. Barbadians living with disabilities are asking the public to stop denying them their basic rights. As the Month of the Disabled kicked off yesterday, the Barbados Council for the Disabled spoke about how members of that community remained excluded in society. Denise Blackman brings the story.
The issue confronting people with disabilities in Barbados could well be seen as a question of human rights. Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states everyone has the right to freedom of movement, both within and outside of their state. But moving around Barbados has been described as a harrowing ordeal for wheelchair users. President of the Barbados Council for the Disabled, or the BCD, Maria Holder Small, says members have almost no accessible public transportation and are facing crippling private charter costs.
For you to go outside and get private transportation, you are running into $100 and something per person to get that person to the meeting and return them back home.
The council does have 2 donated vehicles which can only carry about 3 wheelchairs per trip, but this is not enough.
Transport board, they do have accessible buses. How many are up and running? I don't know. Sometimes you hear there are 1 or 2.
A call to the transport board confirmed only 1 wheelchair-equipped bus is operational. Operations manager of the BCD, Rosanna Tudor, says some smart private companies are helping fill a gap in specialized transportation.
They are recognizing that the market is getting bigger and bigger, and they are realizing that government is not providing it, so they are getting on board. They too need some assistance in that area, because if they're going to assist persons with disabilities that need transport, honestly, they should be getting some kind of concession, because they're doing a big service.
But she says it comes at a cost.
When you have 50 wheelchair users to transport, the council's bus can't take maybe 3 or 4, if that many. Then they would have to use private transport, and that is an astronomical fee. So all their funding, most of their funding is utilized in transportation.
Article 23 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states, everyone has the right to work, to free choice of employment, to just and favorable conditions of work, and to protection against unemployment. Visually impaired or any other group living with a disability, finding or keeping a job is not easy. The president says employees are often dropped if they develop a disability.
Before even giving you the chance to see how the company can look to retrofit the office, it might be a simple ramp. You know, wheelchair users are not, the brain hasn't gone to sleep. It's just a condition that we might have developed.
She calls this a lose-lose situation.
It's less strain on the government if they do. If we continue working, they don't have to provide us with a disability or invalidity benefit.
The council will be conducting training sessions for the next 3 years in part with the Ministry of Labour. Members and friends of the BCD encourage all employers to take their responsibilities seriously.
The management of that company should be able to know what to do by having him or herself also trained.
There must be some way that people can be redeployed, retrained, and in many ways make a contribution to this country.
Persons with disabilities have the same needs of others. They need to lead a normal life. And part of leading that normal life is education and employment.
As the council launched the Month of the Disabled at their Harambee House headquarters, members hoped the public would participate in its month of activities. They begin Tuesday with a football competition and a launch of the Dorian Pearl Literary